Karen from Sew and Save, and we are here at my sewing studio today because we are starting our 2024 Sew What block of the month. We meet the third Monday of every month to work on our blocks and to see all kinds of new things that are happening at the store. And this year we are working through Deb's Cats and Quilts Build a Quilt Workbook. So we are starting with this workbook this year. So the ladies are going to be making all kinds of blocks and then they can sew them together any way they want at the end of the year. So we are going to start with block 1. And every month we're going to be using the kitty corner ruler from Deb's Cats and Quilts. She has designed this ruler. And we are also going to be using the Ultimate Flying Geese ruler. We're not going to be using this one today, but we are going to be using the kitty cornered ruler. So this is going to be the first time the ladies get to use this ruler, and it's a lot of fun to use. So let's go over what you need to cut and what you're making. So this is our block number 1. Block number 1 is on page 7. So open your workbooks to page 7. Yay! And this is the instructions for your first block. You will be cutting, first of all, from your background, you're going to be cutting some squares. And these squares are going to be used in the center of these, the outside rows, to make these kind of elongated flying geese blocks. So you're going to cut 4 squares to do that. And then you're going to cut 4 rectangles, and those rectangles are going to be used in your kitty corner blocks that are on each corner of your block number 1. Then you're going to cut some small squares, and these little squares are going to be used in all 4 of the bigger squares that the background squares that you cut. So you're going to be cutting 8 of these little squares, and you can start out too by drawing a diagonal line through the back of each one of these squares if you like, or you can wait. I do it during the block demonstration on the video, but you're going to have to draw a diagonal line on the wrong side of each one of those squares. Then we're going to have some more squares. You're going to have 2 dark squares. And those are going to be my navy blue. And here's Bailey. Bailey is here to help, and she's just going to show you what to do with bobbins. Nope, she's not going to take the bobbin. That's good. Okay, she can leave it. Oh, nope, she got it. So Bailey takes care of all of my empty bobbins. Hopefully they're empty when she gets them, because otherwise the thread is wound all around the house. So she loves the empty bobbins to play with. So that was Bailey. So back to your block. You're going to get 2 large squares, which are going to be the centers of your 2 kitty corner blocks, and then 2 more lighter ones for the other opposing corners in your kitty corner block. Then you're going to have 2 small squares to match your kitty corner blocks to make that 4 patch in the center. So follow the instructions, do all the cutting. In the instructions, it then tells you, it has special instructions for cutting these and these, or actually these. Just do your basic cutting, then come back to the video and I will show you how to do those special instructions. That's all part of your kitty corner block. So just wait with that, cut everything out like this, then come back to the video and I'll show you how to use your kitty corner ruler to subcut those and make them into your kitty corner blocks. It's a lot of fun and I think they turned out really great. So get your stuff cut and we'll be back here in just a minute. You have all your pieces cut out, just like we talked about at our first video, and now you're ready to do your kitty corner black. Remember that up in the instructions, it had use kitty corner tool to cut 4 pair of mirror image bees, and then down here it says use kitty corner tool to cut 2 A units, and that's what we're going to do first before you sew anything. That's why I said cut your pieces out and then wait. Don't worry about those little instructions in there, because you read it and then you go, oh, what am I supposed to do? How am I'm confused. So I'm going to take you step by step through it. We're going to start with the squares first, because those are going to create our A units. We have 2 squares. We're going to fold them in half and press them so that you have a nice crisp fold. Okay. We're going to look at the kitty corner ruler, and on your kitty corner ruler you're going to see step 1, step 2, step 3. Then you'll see trim 1 and trim 2. Right now you're going to ignore trim 1 and trim 2 because you're not ready for that yet. You're going to use step 1, step 2, and step 3. If you get confused, there's diagrams and instructions with your ruler. So we're going to do the triangles first. So we're going to take our triangles, and I kind of line them up so that once I get my ruler kind of orientated, I can just cut all 3 at once. I'm going to take that dotted line where it says cut units A, fold square diagonally, and place fold line on this line. So on that dotted line, you're going to place the fold of your square. Line up the point in the corner of your ruler to the point of your square and the fold on the dotted line. And then you're just going to come right along and you're going to cut those. So I'm just going to do that. I'm going to pick it up, move it, do it again. The fold is right on the dotted line. The points match up in the corner. These little pieces are scrap. Pick it up, do it again to all 4 of those. Get it nice on the line, get your point all matching up there, and trim. Same with this one. One more. This is easy, right? You can do this. The fold goes on the dotted line, and then you trim. Alrighty? Now you're just going to open these up, and look, you have little kite pieces. And you're going to go and press your kites nice and flat and nice and open. And these are ready for your kitty corner blocks. So that's step 1. Make those. Super simple, right? You got it. All 4 of those. Now you're going to take the background squares, or rectangles actually, lay them right sides together, and we're going to make an A and a B. Or I'm sorry, we're going to make mirrored B units. We already made A. This is B. We're going to make mirrored B units. Say that 5 times fast. In other words, we're going to make a right and a left out of these little guys. So we used step 1 to do block A. Now we're going to use step 2 to cut our B block. So you can see cut B units, align left edge of rectangle. So here's the left edge of my rectangle. I'm going to make sure that this little itty bitty flat part is along the top edge of my rectangle, and then I'm going to align that line that runs right straight through step 2, and I'm going to cut it right there. But this time we're not quite done with these blocks. But now you can see you're going to get a right and a left, a mirror image of each one of those. Remember to put them right sides together. I'm going to get these a little more lined up. There we go. Again, you're going to line up the flat edge of that ruler along the top of your squares. I have 2 squares together, and I'm going to line up this line with the right or the left edge of my rectangle. Then I'm going to trim. Now, in order to help me put all of this together, so you can see, here's that instruction, here's your right and left blocks, just like we did right here. So you can see those two right there. I just don't have them separated. I'm leaving them together because we need to make one more cut here. So now we're going to cut this little edge down here. And to do that, we're going to use step B, or 3. And we're going to clip this corner edge of my ruler. And I have the wrong, so you can see that if I try to do this over here on this edge, you can see it's not going to line up. It's not going to work. I don't have to square up this edge because this is already squared up. So I know that I have to do this edge. So if you get confused, this is a really, really easy way to figure this out. So this is just going to fit right into this little corner here. It's the only corner that it'll fit on your block right now. And then you're just going to trim that off so that you get that little dog-eared corner that's going to help you match everything up. I'm going to come back and do it to each and all 4 of these. So kind of line them up here. Then I can do all 4 at the same time. So I'm doing this little edge on all of my blocks, lining up step 3, those lines right with the edge of my triangles, and trim those off. This is going to help you so much when you're lining up everything and stitching. And remember, you don't have to worry too much again because we're making our blocks bigger, and we'll use the trim side of the ruler to trim down our blocks to the correct size. So once you've done all of these triangles are going to line up and match up with your kites. I pressed all my little kites all nice and flat. Now, this is something that you really want to pay attention to because it's very easy to take this and put it on here like this, having this small part up against the top of the kite and the large part on the bottom, so as you feel like it's going to make a square. That's not what you want to do. You want to take the long part of unit B and add it to the top of your kite. Okay, so the small parts go together, the big long parts are going to go together here. And that's what we're going to do on each and every one of these. So we're going to line them up just like this. And it's okay if you have some left over on the bottom, because remember, we're cutting these, we're making these blocks large, and then we're trimming them down to size when we're all done using trim 1 and trim 2. So that's how we're going to do this. Now I have to get the right one over here. And so we're going to get each one of these all lined up, and then you'll be ready to go. Oops, I have the wrong one. So get them all lined up, sew one side, press it, and you're going to press these just toward the small triangle, away from the center, away from your kite when you press. So sew those, press them, and come back, and we'll do the other side. I have the right sides of my triangles sewn onto my little kite pieces. I pressed away from my kite, which is A. So I pressed away from A toward B. And you can see that I have a little extra hanging out. I know we usually don't like to have a little extra hanging out anywhere, but on these we do. So you can see even here on the picture, there's some hanging out and over on these blocks. That's all going to get trimmed out and squared up when we're done. Now we're going to flip the page over, and we're going to do the exact same thing on this side. We're going to add the left side of our block. So you're going to line up the top edge, line it up going all the way down, and here again you can see a little extra coming over that edge, and that is just fine. And so you can see with sewing all of these kind of I pressed all my little kites all nice and flat. Now this is something that you really want to pay attention to, because it's very easy to take this and put it on here like this, having this small part up against the top of the kite and the large part on the bottom, so as you feel like it's going to make a square. That's not what you want to do. You want to take the long part of unit B and add it to the top of your kite. Okay, so the small parts go together, the big long parts are going to go together here. And that's what we're going to do on each and every one of these. So we're going to line them up just like this. And it's okay if you have some left over on the bottom, because remember, we're cutting these, we're making these blocks large, and then we're trimming them down to size when we're all done using trim 1 and trim 2. So that's how we're going to do this. Now I have to get the right one over here. And so we're going to get each one of these all lined up, and then you'll be ready to go. Oops, I have the wrong one. So get them all lined up, sew one side, press it, and you're going to press these just toward the small triangle, away from the center, away from your kite when you press. So sew those, press them, and come back and we'll do the other side. Just edges that it's a good idea to have a nice spurt of best press on all of these. The best press will help to keep it from stretching, remember. So give everything a nice squirt of best press, and you'll have less fraying and less stretching as you go along. Now let's sew all of these at 1/4 inch. Then again, we're going to press away from the kite, unit A. We have all 4 of these sewn with all of the side pieces sewn on to our kites. We have a little bit extra over here, kind of all kitty-wampus, making a little extra. That is just fine. If you have that and it looks wrong, perfect. It's right. I know. It's amazing. Now we're ready to trim these blocks down. We're going to trim all 4 of them down. Let me lay them all out. And you can see here I caught a little bit of my salvage in this one, which is a little bit of a sad thing, but you're going to see that that's just going to get cut right off. So I didn't worry about remaking this particular triangle because I knew that that was going to get cut off in the end. So it is A-okay. Now we're going to use, and I wish I had a little white thing here. We're going to use, I'm going to show you this, trim 1 and trim 2. Trim 1, we're going to trim off this little point. And we're going to use this little V that's on there to match up with the V on my block. And then we're going to use this diagonal line, and that diagonal line is going to come and run right into the other side of my my square. So the first thing we're going to do is cut that very, very important point so that all of those points, when we sew them into our quilts, are not going to get cut off. We're going to put the point right in here, and by trimming here and here on this, you're going to have 1/4 inch from the point to the edge of your fabric. Isn't that cool? It's going to be perfect. So now I'm laying this down, and I'm going to do all 4 of these, and then I'll churn them, and then I'll do the other 4. So I'm going to lay this down, get that little V lined up with the V on my kite, and then this diagonal line is going to come and just dissect that diagonal line, that point right down at the end. So I get that all lined up nice. Ta-da! And then I'm going to trim. So since I've kind of have my eye, I know exactly what I'm looking at to line things up. I'm going to pick it up, lay it down over here. I have to move things over just a little bit because my camera's in the way. There we go. Line up that V with the V on the ruler, and then the 4 right down here, because we're going to have a finished 4-inch block when we're done. And this one looks pretty perfect. Once I trim this off, it's going to be pretty close to that edge. Not going to have much of anything to trim off there. But the important part, because the important part is getting this little V, as you know, 1/4 inch from the edge of your fabric, so that when you sew everything all together, It's all going to line up and you're going to have a beautiful point in your quilt. And see, I just cut off that little piece of salvage that I had on there. I need a little bit sharper blade going in. There we go. And then I have one more to do here. Do this little point here. Get the diagonal going right through the point over there. Get this little V lined up right with the point of my kite. Trim it off. Ta-da! Okay, now I'm going to rotate my blocks so that I'm trimming off the large part of my kite. I'm going to use the same edge of the ruler that I did. You don't have to turn the ruler at all. You're going to line up the 4 at the bottom, the left edge, and all the way across the bottom. And now we're going to trim off the rest of this. Super simple. And your blocks are going to be perfect, perfect, perfect. They're going to be 4.5 inches because it's going to be a 4.5 unfinished block. And when we sew it into our quilts, it will be a 4-inch finished block. So I'm going to lift it up here, lay it on the 4-inch, double check it, and trim. Some of them I have more to trim off than others. And one more time over here. I have to slide it over. Beautiful. This one, like I said, didn't have much to trim off. Just the way it is. But it's going to be perfect. It's still 4. There we go. 4.5 inch kitty corner blocks. The first 4 that you will have done. Yay! And they are perfect, perfect, perfect. Let's go on to our next step. If you look at your instructions, I'm getting everything kind of cleaned up. Now we don't need the kitty corner ruler anymore this time. Next time we will use the kitty corner ruler and your half square triangle ruler. Or, no, flying geese ruler. Sorry, you're going to use your flying geese ruler. We're going to take the large background rectangles that you have left over, and I am going to line them up with the small squares that you have left. The 2 blue, in my case, the 2 blues are going to go together and make that 4 patch in the center of your quilt, and we'll do that next. But first we're going to do these kind of elongated flying geese type blocks. And I have my squares laying here. I'm going to grab my half square triangle ruler and my Frixion pen and a short ruler, and I'm going to draw a line diagonally. You could draw a line through all of these diagonally first, which I didn't do before our video, but that is okay. We're going to draw a line diagonally right through here. Just like this, you're going to stitch on the line, trim it down, and then I press toward the triangle. Whoops, toward the outside triangle. So get everything lined up there. You're going to do that. Then we're going to press toward the outside triangle when I'm done. And we'll put the other side on. Look how simple this is. You've got the hardest part done already because you've got the kitty corner block done, which was actually pretty easy. So are you ready to make a whole bunch more of those for the rest of your quilt? It was really fun to do, and it's just that easy. So I'm going to go sew right on the line that I drew. Then I'm going to come back and we'll do the other side. I'm preparing the squares that are going to go onto the second side of our rectangles. And I'm just going to draw these first. It's a little bit easier, and it's also easier to do with my Quilter's Magic Wand. So get those all in. These up here are done. I trimmed them down to the seams down to 1/4 of an inch, and then I pressed my seam toward the triangle going into the corner. So you can see that right here. Now I'm going to come along and do the other side and do exactly the same thing that I did before. I kind of sew these at just a little bit of a scant 1/4 of an inch, or a scant seam. So that means that I'm just like one hair over my line going toward my corner. So I'm going to do those. And then while you're doing that, let's sew together our 4 patch, because that's super easy too. You're going to take a light and a dark and put those two together. Take a light and a dark, sew these two together at 1/4 of an inch. I would press toward my dark seam and then press these two together to make my 4 patch. So once you've done that, sewn these on the line, trim off the excess triangle towards the corner, press again toward the triangle, or toward your corner triangle on these. So once you do that, we'll be ready to put this block together. Isn't that amazing? It goes so fast. So I'm just going to line these little guys up and grab these. I'm going to go make my 4 patch, finish these off, and then we'll lay our block out and see what it's going to look like. I have all my pieces all done and ready to sew together as a block. Our first block of the year. Yay! I'm so excited. Okay, I have my 4 patch ready to go. I have my kitty corner blocks ready to go. And then I have those little 4-inch squares that we added the little squares to and made our cute little blocks here. And now we're going to lay everything out. So we're going to start out kind of making this almost like a star in the center with our background 4.5-inch squares up against our 4 patch. Then we're going to add our kitty corner blocks, and they're all going to match up so that from corner to corner, I've got all my navy blues going together, and then from the other corner to the other corner, ooh, look at this block, I love it already. And from this corner to this corner, I have my light blues, and look at how nice these points look. From here to the corner, I've got a beautiful 1/4 of an inch. So now I'm going to sew them together. I'll start up here and I'll sew the top row, then I'll sew the center, then I'll sew the bottom. I would probably press the middle toward the 4 patch and the top and the bottom out toward the kitty corner block. I'm going to sew this all together and you can come back and see what it looks like. Here is your completed block 1. Yay, you did it. You did your first set of kitty cornered blocks, and you've got everything all pressed out and nice, and look at how beautiful it is. I hope your points turned out and you're very happy with them. And next month we're going to do kitty corner blocks, and we're going to use the flying geese ruler, the ultimate flying geese ruler, to make our block. So get ready and have fun with this block, and we will see you next month. Bye for now.